In a stunning and unprecedented move, Boeing, the world-renowned aerospace giant, has halted all commercial aircraft production. The once bustling assembly lines now stand eerily still, with unfinished jets gathering dust in the vast, silent factory halls. This abrupt pause marks a dramatic turning point for the company and the entire aviation industry. The catalyst? The escalating US-China trade war, which has now reached a critical breaking point. Tensions between the two economic superpowers have boiled over, with each side imposing increasingly severe restrictions and tariffs, sending shockwaves through global markets. Beijing's retaliatory ban on American aircraft has slammed shut the doors to the world's fastest-growing aviation market. For Boeing, this means not only lost sales but also a sudden halt to years of expansion and investment in China. The company's factories, once alive with activity, are now shrouded in an unsettling silence. This isn't just a corporate setback. It's a vivid, real-time example of how global politics can upend even the mightiest industries. The ripple effects are being felt far beyond Boeing's headquarters, shaking confidence in international business and trade. Thousands of skilled workers now face an uncertain future, unsure if or when they'll return to their jobs. Suppliers and small businesses across the U.S. aerospace sector are bracing for a domino effect, as orders dry up and production grinds to a halt. Boeing's deep integration into the global economy, once its greatest strength and a source of pride, has suddenly become a critical vulnerability. The company's complex supply chains, stretching across continents, are now at risk of unraveling. The company's heavy reliance on the Chinese market has been weaponized against it, exposing the fragility of global interdependence. What was once a symbol of international cooperation is now a stark reminder of how quickly alliances can shift. Boeing's leadership has called the shutdown temporary, urging patience and resilience. But with no diplomatic solution in sight and negotiations stalled, the timeline for recovery remains uncertain. The entire industry is left holding its breath. The silence in Boeing's factories is more than just a pause in production. It's a wake-up call for the future of international cooperation and the stability of global trade. The world is watching, waiting to see what comes next for this titan of industry. China's response was swift and punishing, a total ban on new Boeing aircraft. Overnight, the world's largest aviation market slammed its doors shut to America's biggest plane maker, sending shockwaves through the global aerospace industry. The announcement came during a high-profile press conference, with Chinese officials making it clear that this was not just a business decision, but a powerful political statement. In addition to the outright ban, China imposed a staggering 125% tariff on all American-made planes and parts. This tariff, more than doubling the cost of U.S. aircraft, effectively priced Boeing out of the Chinese market. Customs officers began inspecting every shipment with new scrutiny, and aviation companies scrambled to understand the new rules. The impact was immediate and severe. Hundreds of pending orders were canceled, leaving stacks of paperwork and empty assembly lines in their wake. Boeing's access to its most lucrative international market was crippled, and the ripple effects were felt throughout the company's global supply chain. Planes that were once destined for Chinese airlines now sat idle, grounded at airports around the world. The ban didn't just affect new sales, it extended to U.S. aircraft parts, threatening the maintenance and safety of thousands of Boeing jets already flying in China. Airlines faced the daunting prospect of sourcing alternative parts, risking delays and disruptions to their operations. Hangars filled with grounded planes and maintenance crews scrambled to adapt. By targeting the aerospace sector, China struck at the very heart of American industrial power. The move sent shockwaves through U.S. manufacturing plants, where workers worried about layoffs and lost contracts. On Wall Street, Boeing's stock plummeted, and investors braced for a prolonged downturn. The pain was not limited to Boeing alone. It rippled across the entire U.S. economy, from suppliers to small businesses. For years, aviation deals had been a rare bright spot in the often tense U.S.-China relationship, helping to balance the massive trade deficit between the two nations. Now, with this leverage gone, the economic relationship has become even more lopsided, and hopes for future cooperation have dimmed. Both sides have dug in, with U.S. officials condemning China's actions as unfair and retaliatory. The White House vowed to defend American interests, but options were limited in the face of such a sweeping ban. Meanwhile, Chinese media defended the move as a necessary response to what they called American aggression. State-run news outlets framed the tariffs as a matter of national pride and economic self-defense, rallying public support behind the government's tough stance. The aviation industry now finds itself caught in the crossfire of a high-stakes geopolitical standoff. With Boeing as the primary casualty, uncertainty hangs over airlines, workers, and travelers alike. Industry conferences that once buzzed with optimism now echo with concern and caution. The Great Wall of Tariff stands tall, a formidable barrier blocking the flow of trade and cooperation. For now, it remains unyielding, a symbol of the deepening divide between two economic superpowers. The world is watching closely as the rules of global trade are being rewritten in real time. Every headline, every canceled flight, and every market fluctuation is a reminder that the stakes have never been higher. Boeing's management is scrambling to contain the fallout, halting production to stem financial losses, and seeking new buyers for planes built for China. Redirecting these highly customized jets is a logistical nightmare, with costly reconfigurations and uncertain demand. Each undelivered aircraft means a loss of over $100 million, and Boeing's stock has plummeted. The company faces mounting fixed costs and a workforce in limbo, all while trying to project resilience. Behind the scenes, Boeing is urging U.S. officials to resolve the dispute, but public messaging remains focused on operational strength. The company's backlog outside China offers some hope, but anxiety runs deep. A prolonged lockout from China could permanently reshape the global aviation landscape. Boeing's ability to weather this storm is far from certain. The stakes for the company and the industry have never been higher. China's ban on U.S. aircraft parts has sent shockwaves through the global aerospace supply chain. American-made components are vital not just for Boeing, but for Airbus and even China's own Comac jets. Chinese airlines now face a shortage of certified parts, risking grounded fleets and potential safety issues. The crisis is forcing companies worldwide to rethink supply chains, accelerating a shift toward regionalization and away from global integration. Small suppliers in the US and Europe are suddenly at risk, with orders vanishing overnight. The ban threatens the livelihoods of hundreds of thousands, not just corporate giants. In a globalized world, a single political decision can trigger economic devastation far beyond its borders. The Boeing shutdown's impact ripples far beyond aviation, hitting the US economy hard. As America's largest exporter, Boeing's halt drags down GDP and devastates manufacturing jobs. The uncertainty is chilling business investment, with companies delaying projects amid unpredictable trade rules. Consumers feel the pain too. Tariffs drive up prices and fuel inflation, while supply chain chaos leads to empty shelves. The trade war is straining US alliances, forcing other nations to pick sides and deepening global divisions. The weaponization of trade is undermining the international order that has governed global affairs for decades. If the world's two largest economies can't resolve their differences, the resulting instability could reshape the world for everyone. The crisis is no longer abstract, it's a kitchen table issue for millions. Boeing's troubles in China are rooted in the lingering fallout from the 737 MAX crisis. The crashes and grounding shattered trust, with China leading the charge to ban the aircraft. Airbus seized the opportunity, expanding its market share as Boeing's reputation suffered. The trade war exploited this weakness, making Boeing an easy target for Chinese retaliation. Now Boeing faces a dual challenge: rebuilding technical trust and navigating a hostile political climate. Meanwhile, China accelerates its own aerospace ambitions, using the crisis to boost its domestic industry. The shadow of the 737 MAX has become a catalyst for a fundamental shift in the global aerospace landscape. The world is watching as a diplomatic deadlock defines the current crisis between the United States and China. At the heart of the standoff, China is demanding a complete rollback of US tariffs, insisting that only a full reversal will restore trust and stability. Meanwhile, Washington stands firm, refusing to make concessions and maintaining that its tough stance is necessary to protect American interests and jobs. The tension in the air is palpable, with both sides unwilling to show weakness. Both governments are deeply entrenched in their positions, each blaming the other for the impasse. Public statements from officials on both sides are filled with accusations and warnings, as they wait for mounting economic pain to force the other to blink first. The negotiation table remains empty, symbolizing the lack of progress and the growing frustration on both sides. In the United States, industry groups and business leaders are ramping up pressure on the White House. They warn that the ongoing trade war is causing lasting damage to American competitiveness, threatening jobs, and undermining the country's position in global markets. Protests and urgent appeals from affected industries highlight the real-world consequences of the standoff. Despite these warnings, the administration remains resolute. Officials argue that tariffs are a necessary tool to counter what they describe as unfair Chinese trade practices, intellectual property theft, and market manipulation. They insist that holding the line is essential for long-term economic security, even as short-term pain mounts. The consequences of this standoff are being felt around the world. The world's most important economic relationship has been frozen, paralyzing global supply chains, halting investment, and creating uncertainty for businesses and workers everywhere. Factories sit idle, shipments are delayed, and the ripple effects are disrupting industries far beyond the US and China. Any meaningful resolution would require not just phased tariff rollbacks, but also real enforceable reforms on both sides. However, domestic politics in both countries make compromise elusive. Lawmakers debate fiercely, and public opinion remains divided, making it difficult for leaders to find common ground. Until the cost of ongoing conflict finally outweighs the perceived political gains, critical industries like aviation remain hostages to this high-stakes game. Workers and companies are left in limbo, uncertain about their future and unable to plan ahead. The world economy too waits in anxious limbo. Financial markets are stagnant, global trade routes are paused, and investors are holding their breath, with no clear end to the standoff in sight. The stakes of this confrontation extend far beyond Boeing or any single company. This is a test of global leadership, international cooperation, and the ability of the world's two largest economies to find a path forward in an increasingly interconnected world. The trade war has frozen billions in future Boeing-China aircraft deals, once projected to fuel decades of growth. These lost orders threaten Boeing's long-term plans and the funding of next-generation aircraft. The uncertainty is contagious. Airlines worldwide are reconsidering orders, fearing they could be next in the crosshairs. Even if a deal is reached, trust has been eroded and Chinese airlines may shift permanently toward Airbus or domestic alternatives. The competitive landscape is changing, with Boeing forced to fight harder for a shrinking market. A handful of jets may still be delivered, but it's a minor concession in a much larger crisis. The future of global aviation is on hold, suspended by political gridlock. The industry faces a new era of uncertainty, with no clear path forward. Boeing's shutdown is the most dramatic sign yet of the US-China trade war's global impact. China's ban and Boeing's crisis have fractured the aerospace supply chain and cast doubt on billions in future deals. The 737 MAX saga weakened Boeing's position, giving Airbus an edge and China new leverage. With both governments locked in stalemate, the economic fallout is spreading, fueling inflation, disrupting trade, and chilling investment. The era of globalization is under threat, as nations prioritize resilience over efficiency and politics over partnership. The weaponization of trade marks a new, contentious chapter in global commerce. The future of international trade, and the aviation industry, now hangs in the balance, its next chapter unwritten.